concept that there's two kavim
in
in
progress.
everything. We have the two lines. We have the line of right and left, and there's Torah versus mitzvahs, mitzvahs asa, mitzvahs loises. In world and say the ishtalshlus in Yidden, there's always the two lines and two types of avodah, eskafi and esapcha, and all of them are part of the unity that's in the Eibishter, that he has all these different levels, and this all connects back to what in the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimeri talks about, that there's two aspects. There's Kirirus and the Chamimus and Nefshabamis, the coldness that it has to Inyoni Ha'olam, and the coldness that has the Kedusha, and warmth and heat towards Inyoni Ha'olam. So now he's going to conclude this by emphasizing like the difference between another two aspects of lines in Seder Ishtalshlus. There's Oiris and there's Kalim. There's Yesh versus Ayin. And these are also cases and inyonim of two lines and two aspects and so on. Line 11, Zayin, page Lamed Vav. Hine Klolis in an Avodah, the general idea of Avodah. Because of the Avodah was the entire reason why the Neshama descended from a high building to a deep pit, from a high roof to a deep pit or dungeon. That is where the general avodah of the Yid is. To make a home for the Eibishter down below. This will be understood according to what the Rebbe Rashab explains. We say in Shabbos davening that there is no comparison to you. There is nothing that is similar to you and compares to you in this world. So, as the Maimer is going to explain, as the Rebbe Rashab is going to explain, it doesn't mean that in higher worlds, Chas v'sholom, there is things that compare to Hashem. But from this world, we can appreciate the Ein HaRoich, and as we're going to explain, and from that, we can then apply it and extrapolate it concerning higher worlds as well. So he says, line 16, has the idea that there's nothing comparable to you is specifically in this world. Why is it specifically recognizable in this world? When we're dealing with the spiritual world, over there is a level of divine light and revelation. Even after the whole chain order of descent of the lights, and there's a higher light, and from that comes down a lower light, and a lower light, and so on. Yet, the very fact that you're calling it Oir, Haraya Oir, Ume'ein HaMoir, light is similar to and expresses the luminary, its source. Because of that, we could still think there's some type of comparison, some way of similarity between the Oir and Hashem. It would come out from such a perspective, from such an attitude, that the luminary, that Hashem himself, is somehow falls into the same category in general to those things that derive from it, the oiris that come from it, even through many levels of Seder Ishtalshus. That mistake is only possible by oir. As opposed to the idea of kelim, the way the keli comes into being is not like oir. The whole idea of oir is that the oir has to be davuk ba'moir, it has to cleave to the luminary. As soon as you cut it off, there is no oir. So therefore you might think that they are somehow in the same category. Keli, the whole idea of keli is to be something other, to be something different than, to be something separate from the ma'or, or from the oir even. For that, you have to make something that is separate. So keli, that came into a way The way the keli came into being is in a way that it's separated and removed. And the ultimate type of level of something that came into being that's separated, similar to the keli, is the way it's in this world. Then there, in this world, it's yesh me'ayin. The whole definition of yesh me'ayin is that it's considered the most distant. That's the expression yesh me'ayin. There's no relationship whatsoever between the yesh and where it came from. That's why we say it came out of nowhere. No connection. Top of the next page, top of Lamed Zayin, Hisavas HaGashmis Ruchnius. In this world where the Gashmis is coming from the Ruchnius, not like in the spiritual world where the Keli is Nifrat, but the Keli is also Ruchnius. In this world, it's Gashmis coming from Ruchnius. There's no greater difference, no greater chasm and separation than you have Yesh Me'ayin in this world. That's the ultimate descent in the way of how the world comes into being. The loike b'seid of ilav all kanal sifei, not like in the order of ilav all, like we said earlier in the first in Ois Hay, that over there, since the ilah relates to the ol beneath it, and that ol becomes an ilah for that beneath it, so therefore even the lowest part on the chain of ilav ol must have a relationship and a connection with the highest level in the chain of the ilav ol. So therefore, in this world, where it's not ilav ol, where it's the ultimate anti-ilav ol, it's the ultimate level of yesh me'ayin. So therefore, in this is visible, and it's seeing the idea how it's incomparable to the Eibishter. That's why it says, in this world we can appreciate how we are Ein Aroich. But, and here's what I've been saying before, it doesn't mean we stop at this world and say, okay, only in this world it's Ein Aroich. Now, once we understand the Ein Aroich from this world, we can apply it to the higher worlds as well. Line 4. After we know from this world the idea that there is nothing comparable to you, from this we become aware, and through that it even makes it be evident in also on the oil. That not only is it felt in the oil that he's Ma'ein HaMoir, which is the normal nature of oil, the normal nature of light, is to feel and to express the idea that it's Ma'ein HaMoir, but it's even a higher idea that is manifested through the oil, that it's incomparable to the one that made it, that it has in it also the level of the Ma'ir, that it has in it also the luminary, that over there, even though it has the luminary, still in all, it's no comparison whatsoever to it. And that is thanks to Olam Hazeh, because it's Ein Aroich L'chol B'Olam Hazeh, therefore Ein Aroich is now applied to all levels of creation. All of this that we just now said applies to the state and situation above. In godliness, the way it results and is manifest because of the creation. But like we said before, because we have Olam Hazeh, so we start appreciating the Ein Aroich. The Kivush since what we're speaking about over here is about the creation, the bringing the world into being, that already is the beginning of the two lines that we've been talking about all throughout this Hamshach. There's Hamahave v'Hamishave. That's already the two lines. There is the one that brings into being and that which comes into being. The Rebbe says that possibly we could explain that already that type of division into two, the Mahava and the Mishava, is Shemezen Nimshach Ashoyrish Umakir Arishan. From this comes down the first root and source. Sheyiu Shnei Ha'inyanim Dekrias V'Chamim Miskifi Shem B'Chol HaSugim Anal. That there should be both aspects of coldness and heat, the way they are in all the types that we mentioned before. All the levels. There's Ba'olamus B'Chlal in general, in worlds. There's the level of the heat and the cold, the level of the two lines, the right and the left. Uba Klippus Befrat, and specifically in Klippus there is, like we said, the heat and passion in worldly things, and the coldness and ambivalence to Kedusha things. Ubein Tayim, and in between the worlds and the Klippus, there's also Gametzel B'nai Yisrael V'Toyra. Also by the Yidden there's two lines, and also in Torah there's two lines. Shari Klolos Abriya B'Shvil HaToyra Shnikras Reishis B'Shvil Yisrael Shnikru Reishis. Since the general creation is for the sake of Torah, that's called Reishis, and for the sake of Yidden that are called Reishis, like we have right away at the beginning of Chumash, Rashi says Be Reishis, Beis Reishis, for two Reishis, and the worlds were created. So that means if there's these two lines in the Seder Ishtalshlos, it must be for the sake of having these two lines in the creation, in the Yidden and in the Torah. Oisches. The intention and purpose of all of this. Why are there these two lines? Why is there the heat and the passion in Klippa and the coldness to Kedusha? And to such a degree that it begins at the beginning of Seder Ishtalshus, like we said. It's all because of the action which is primary. There should be the existence of a Jewish person. I was created to serve my Maker, and he does so in actuality, in thought, speech, and deed. That this manifests, the thought and speech and deed manifests his purpose of creation to serve his master. Not just the thought, speech, and deed, which is only the garments, the external parts, the levushim, but all parts of his neshama manifest that his purpose and his whole entire existence is to serve his Creator. Close in general, that both from the perspective of his godly soul and from the perspective of the nefesh b'amis, both from the perspective of his neshama and the perspective of his body, there is manifest this idea that he is there to serve his Maker. And when he brings this all in together in that mission, then he fulfills his job and his mission in the way of being a soldier of Tzivus Havai, to make for Hashem a home down below. Going back to the topic of Basi Legani, that the tzava they make, that the everlasting one should reside upon it in an everlasting manner. Through this, he draws down that should be, I've come to my garden, to my special place, to the place that I was there mainly initially. The main part of Shekhinah, the main place of the Shekhinah was down there below. But in Mashiach's times, even though we said it was already there before the Chet Tzadas, when Mashiach comes, it will be in so much more powerful way, so much stronger way, and incomparably greater than it was initially at the beginning of creation. Even concerning the godliness that's the beginning of Seder Ishtalshlos. That the line that came out from after the Tzimtzum Rishon will also be cleaving to the circle also at its bottom. It's brought down using the metaphor of a circle, that when Hashem made an empty space, so then the Ein Sof surrounded this empty space like a circle, and then a line came down from the top of the circle, and this world is the bottommost place in the end of that line. Our job in doing Torah mitzvahs in this world is to connect the bottom of the line with the circle. In other words, not just the top of the line that came out from the Ein Sof is connected, the Ak, or higher than that, but even the end of the line, or even more so, primarily the end of the line, our physical world should now connect as if from the other end. The bottom end should now connect with the circle with the Ein Sof. All this will be in the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Then will be fulfilled the promise that the glory of Hashem will become revealed, and all flesh will see together that the mouth of Hashem spoke. Even the physical flesh will have the idea of sight. That's why it says all flesh will see. Like to explain the Sharamun of the Mittler Rebbe, it will be in the highest, most level of the idea of re'iyah, of sight. It will be higher than the vision that intellect has when you see something in your mind. Even higher than the vision that's a prophecy. What is the highest level that they will perceive Hashem? They will see it with the sense of sight, with eyes of flesh. That was something similar to that during Matan Torah, but its completion and perfection of this years of Begula Mitzvah Shlema, because of Mamish Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu. This will be in the in perfect way, in the true and complete redemption, speedily in our times, in the coming of Mashiach.